goal is to bring you your next favorite band.
Thanks for having us. This is a very cool show.
Yeah, so through many iterations, and we finally landed on the weirdest one by far.
Yeah, simple feelings, and boom, you got a sound.
I remember this one time. I had been writing some songs, and I went out. I'm just going right in on this story. I went out, and so I was.
The story's longer than the song itself. We'll go ahead and play it.
And listen, it's going to be everybody's favorite band. Welcome to your next favorite band. That's both the show title and our promise to you. We here at Stereophilia Studio are tireless in our pursuit of finding incredible, genre-defiant artists who are either a hot, up-and-coming band or a group that has been delivering for years but have flown under the radar. Today, hello? Each month, we will bring you live streams, audio podcasts, and perhaps even a live concert where you can listen to the stories and hear the music of artists personally curated by us based on what we feel will be worthy of your time. Be sure to subscribe and tune in to each episode because the possibilities are endless and you never know who will be your next favorite band. Hello, everybody. That is a perfect opening for this particular episode. The mic gain, or not the gain, the volume came way down, so I couldn't hear myself.
That was fun that it was both. It was today. Hello.
That's
it's a philosophical approach to
it's a very meta. And what I was about to say in the opening there was this is going to be our very first Knucklehead Banter. And it came out like a knucklehead.
Well, I mean, I think it's actually par for the course. We should probably introduce the Knuckleheads.
Correct, yes. And I am your host, Phillip Reese of the... wait, let's hold off there.
Yeah, I mean, you can go ahead and do the whole thing.
And
I'm David Moore, the co-host of Your Next Favorite Band.
And this is...
Your Next Favorite Band.
I like the way you did that one time. We need to rehearse that.
Well, all right, fine. We'll get together and we'll work up the correct eyebrow signaling so we can.
Well, you've got it. I got to catch up to you. Is what the problem is.
Fair enough. I mean, we could do half the intro as an intro like that, but I mean that's another conversation.
Mm-hmm. No, I get it. So we are gonna do this from time to time, and it's kind of just a brief, quick little hit that will give you we'll kind of recap stuff that's been going on. Not a full dive into the episodes, but more just like a look back, maybe even at some of the music we've heard, concerts.
That one of those moments, in case you missed it, kind of thing.
Yeah, and it may be like, you definitely want to check out this one kind of thing, and then also teasing the preview of what's about to come down the pike here. So that's what we want to do here is a mixture of look back, look forward, and kind of where we are today.
So let's jump in. Where have we come from? Since now we're recording this post Musikfest in August.
And full disclosure, there it's Labor Day. This will be getting broadcast on Tuesday night, but it's Monday afternoon, holiday time. So I'm here on the breezeway. I like to call it breeze plots.
I'm in my office because that's what worked out.
That's exactly right. Yeah, it is. We are where we are meant to be.
I'd rather be on your breezeway
with a beer.
Yeah, it would be better.
It's holiday. Mm-hmm. So anyway, yes, we are post August, which, as we all know, for the Bethlehem area has the Musikfest festival, and it is an explosion of content for us, and so we kind of want to just touch on that to kind of just maybe talk through all that is out there and how much of an anomaly it is for us for the rest of the year. In case maybe the first time you ever really tuned in was during August, there's a lot more of a classic weekly format that's going to be coming out from September going forward.
August becomes like a gut punch of content because it all just sort of comes out at once. You were able to arrange this year to do something pretty remarkable.
Oh, well, thank you. I think kudos aside, I just think there was some two cool things about it. Like the pre-Musikfest exordium, if you will, like we called it, or I called it. You just call it Musikfest preview, which is probably better. But
I at least wanted extravaganza.
Yeah, well, there's definitely going to be a use for that word. But so pre-Musikfest, we had kind of our show to kind of highlight who to go see, and then we also brought on Flying V, Bond Place, Bobby Martridge to talk about the weather, and then the Polka Prince. And we did all of that on location at the Flying V. So that was cool. And then
all of those are available for people to catch up on.
YouTube,
they've been out as both
episodes.
Podcasts, right? And they're broken up too. If you don't want to listen to the whole thing, like the weather to you is not relevant anymore, no problem. You've got you want to relive the weather, you can also download that one.
Well, probably the cool thing there is just that to learn more about that Eastern PA weather consulting, the Bobby Martridge business. He goes into his history, how to kind of connect with him, and he's available year round and is worth the follow. So there's definitely that. And even the other ones, people might think, oh, it's just a Musikfest episode. It's not true. Like Flying V, Bond Place, all that stuff is definitely elements of their history and how they formed, and just
it's interesting. Yeah, I say it's just interesting, but you can dip and dive as you feel fit.
Right. And so that, like, normally we're going to put out like 4 episodes a month, and that was 5 in one hit right at the beginning. Then,
and that's not the big one.
No. And then the other one was Godfrey Daniels, the wonderful listening room on Southside here in Bethlehem, gave me the permission to broadcast live from their stage each day of Musikfest. Turned out that there was only 7 days that there was, sessions to be had, but 7 different days had about an hour's worth of content where it was either musicians who were performing that day or organizations that were connected to the festival in some way, from Arts Quest to Bethlehem Area School District to the Morning Call and promoters and Lehigh Valley Style and Ramona Labar from Godfrey Daniels themselves. So huge thank you there to Godfrey Daniels for letting that happen. And so the live stream was there for 7 separate episodes, and that turned into actually 4 podcast episodes that all came out here during this weekend because we edited together more of like the best of moments so that it could be a lot shorter for consumption.
Right, and one of them got broken out because you had a whole band that minus it was in this case you had a whole band show up. So that one's sort of put out there in a sort of a special treat, dessert episode, if you will.
Right, and it was right in the middle. So there was a first half, a midway point, and a second half. And that midway point is Blair Crimmins and the Hookers. I got their shirt on today in honor of that. And it was just really neat. It was something that, you don't always get the chance to sit there and talk with not only the band leader, but the horn section and the percussion section. And these are people who, each part is so important that it was just very, very cool to spend a few moments with each member of the band. And so, like you said, it was just nice to be able to put that one out to stand on its own.
Yeah, that one I think it stood out also because you also had so many people physically there. It was one group through the whole thing.
Correct.
A lot of them you would have a couple people on because of trying to make the best of the time that you had there, and that was great. But it was really neat to see that one that was all a big shot.
No, thank you. And I think the other funny part about that is the clarinet saxophone player. His name was Luke. At the very beginning, he sits down and he goes, "Hi, Mom," and I laughed. And after the episode was done, he said, "No, actually, my mom was watching." So that was really cool that his mom tuned into, the Godfrey Daniels sessions. So that was fun.
We just need everyone's moms to tune in. Like that would be a good move.
Yeah, totally. It would practically double our listenership. Minus one. My mom does actually listen, which is super cool. Hi, Mom. I'll say hi, Mom. Hi, Mom. And then the 4th episode was just simply pulling out all of the live performances. There were 7 different musicians that performed live, and we thought, let's put them all out on their own episode, because that's almost like releasing a digital album. Like, it's a way to kind of put out there, these special versions. 4 of the 7 were either the first time they ever performed, either like acoustic or solo. Some of the first time they ever performed it ever, like for either a recording or a kind of audience. And one, Billy Bauer's song he wrote like 3 weeks ago, doesn't even have a name yet. And so he's like, "Yeah, I'll play it." And I'm like, "What's it called?" And he's like, "It doesn't even have a name yet." And I just thought that was super awesome.
It was pretty great.
Yeah. So that episode will get released actually sometime today. So by the time this is being broadcast, it'll be out there for you.
Awesome.
So like we said, so that's like 5 episodes in the beginning of the month, 4 at the end of the month from that, and then there was even our Musikfest recap show, which is actually only YouTube because we were showing so many videos. It just didn't have as much.
Right.
It wasn't going to play as well for a podcast episode. So we highly recommend that you go check out that particular recap because if you were there, you can relive some things. And if you weren't there, you can start to see a little bit more of a flavor of what it's like to be there, especially from a 10-day perspective. It's pretty cool.
And we filmed that on location at Bond Place Brewing.
That's right. Yeah. So on location, Flying V. On location, Bond Place. Godfrey Daniels. Now the Breeze Plots. We're doing all sorts of cool stuff.
Next week, skydiving while we record these. It's going to be a very short episode.
Yeah, like one of those sky zones, so we can just be like actually just hovering the whole time.
Let's do it.
Yeah,
we just get those cool gamer headsets.
Yeah. Right, and then the laptop can just float too. We put it on like a parachute.
It'll be fine.
Yeah, and then we can plug in because we definitely always want a wired connection.
Well, I mean that seems sensible.
So that's kind of just a quick recap there of August.
And so now we flip the calendar page. It is September.
The weather got cooler, thank goodness. We might get some rain. Might actually be raining as this is broadcast.
Rumor has it there's actually a flood advisory in place for tonight.
When it rains, it pours.
Oh,
I think this is where it comes from.
So coming up in September, we are moving towards, as mentioned earlier, a much more standardized schedule.
Correct.
Which will be more par for the course anyway.
Yes. I think September,
August
probably take
gets
December
weird.
Out. Yeah, August is weird. Probably could take December out of the equation as well. The rest of the year, September, October, November, and then January on through back to August, you should be able to get basically every Tuesday. We're going to try and put out the content. That was kind of where we were leaning in the beginning, but since it was just kind of starting out, there was more like 2 a month. We did have 3 in July, and now I think we can pretty much assure that people will have 4 per month.
Right. I think our plan is that the Tuesday is for the video release, and hopefully everything working out Thursday for the audio release, depending on your preferred version.
Yeah. And there's going to be interspersed within, I would say, probably 3 of the 4 are going to be artists, musicians, bands, what have you. And then occasionally there's going to be an interspersed, kind of like how we did music adjacent organizations during Musikfest. We're going to bring on some organizations again throughout the year. For example, one of them that is scheduled is Accessible Festivals, who was part of Musikfest this year, but they're basically an organization that offers out services so that people who have any level of special need, who can then enjoy the festival just like everyone else, whether that's sign language on stage, or ways to
they want a sensory space,
limit stimulus, exactly. So I just thought I want to learn a whole lot more about what they do, promote.
Oh, me too.
Definitely looking forward to that. And there was even some video that obviously got out there. These sign language people get into the music, they just are almost dancing and signing at the same time. It was so much fun to watch them.
Yeah, I mean it's a lot of it's fun to watch, but 2, I mean that is part of ASL is not just the actual figures, but the expressions, and thus when they're performing, just like the performers, so much so that they usually work in shifts. Like they'll come in and out of a concert, like with multiple people, because how tiring that is, and that's impressive.
Yeah, that's very true. Very, very true. So like we said, definitely looking forward to learning more about what they do, what they offer, how a festival or some sort of concert venue could get in touch with them. Because I guess that's almost what we're hoping for here, is that we produce something that is inspiring enough to reach out to. So if it's a person who's listening to a new band and it becomes their next favorite, great. But if it's also like somebody who is hosting a festival or a concert and they're like, oh, wow, I want to learn more about that so I can offer it, great. Like that's kind of what we're just doing here is hopefully connecting the dots for people.
Well, that's part of experience music, right? It's not just the band. I mean, obviously that is the core, the center of the orbit. But all the other things that go with it. We talked in the past with Lehigh Valley Girls Rock.
Yes.
And it's the same idea. It's bringing people into music. Yes. Or in this case, we're talking about accessible festivals. Like you can just widen your audience. What musician wouldn't want that?
Right.
I mean,
right. Yes,
that feels great 100%. To me.
Mm-hmm. So other like just teased, bands and such that are scheduled in September. We have They're There, who is that Radiohead tribute band. Not something we always would do. I mean, like, we're not gonna really think that your next favorite band would be a cover band, but Radiohead's something different than 80s music, and they were so good that they would be worth going to see, since obviously a Radiohead concert may be very hard to come by. These guys were, such an interesting thing that we thought, let's bring them on. And they, each one of them has their own other projects. So it'll be kind of,
which isn't all that surprising that was even mentioned even briefly when we spoke for the Musikfest preview. Was paying attention to the projects that musicians and tribute bands typically have outside of that orbit, because it's exciting. It's another way to find discovery, of new music.
Well, yeah, I mean, one of our own great ones here is, Start Making Sense, everyone loves, and then out of that comes bands like Ruby Deer. So like, that's some of the cool stuff there. Is if you're an exceptional musician, and you're inspired by other exceptional musicians to cover them, then you'd also probably be great as a solo. So that'll just be kind of neat to dive into. Other bands that are so another one for September is Hotel Fiction. And it's probably worth mentioning too that you and I are going to head out for some concerts in September and October. So let's get to that after we kind of do these highlights. We'll come back to that.
Makes sense.
In October, we have booked Marielle Kraft, who I thought was wonderful. Actually, we didn't share video of hers because I just wasn't able to capture any, but she played Musikfest. And another one in October that's scheduled, who didn't play Musikfest this year, but the only times I've ever seen them have been Musikfest, is March 4th.
Well, that's actually not true. You and I went and saw them in Harrisburg.
That's true. We saw them in Harrisburg, and I even saw. Never mind. Anyway, they're one of the bands I will definitely travel to go see because they're that good. But the March 4th marching band, and they're releasing new music. They came out with something earlier this year. They're about to release something either this week or next. So there's some cool stuff out there, and I don't know how many people are coming on because I think it's 14 to 16 people on stage.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just musicians. They bring there's like a theater performance factor that comes along with them. So yeah, we'll have to see what that shakes out to be.
Yep.
I know there's a couple guys that are sort of the masterminds of the entire thing, and then they have their supporting group. It's sort of a marching band meets Mad Max kind of scenario, and I mean that in all the right ways. They're a show worth seeing. Their new music, the music's fun to check out, but definitely a show worth seeing.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then in November, we even already have people scheduled Fox Royale. And then that is most likely where the Accessible Festivals interview will fall. December, we do have plans to do the Holiday Spectacular again. And the details to follow on that. We're kind of pulling those together as we speak.
Yeah, that makes sense. I would hope that you haven't planned that all the way out at this point in time. Maybe like you're worse than Lowe's putting out like Christmas decorations already.
Well, as far as planning it, yes, I would rather be farther along than we are. Promoting it, I'm with you. That's the most I'll do right now. I'm not going to put it out on the shelf saying tune in. It'll most likely be December 13th. But again, even that's going to don't block that day on your calendar just yet, because obviously it could change. So we're going to wait and see.
That's not a save the date.
No, don't do that yet. But as soon as we do lock in on more details, I'll be happy to share them. Some other people we have in the queue here that we're working with to just find a date with. The Darling Sons, Jackson Pines, Shamar Allen, Terrible Orange Things, Jamie Drake, The Big Takeover, and some others that I'm super pumped about that I'm just even nervous to say their names. So I'm going to leave that out for now. But those other ones, we engaged with them during the fest. We've since corresponded through email or even, Instagram or what have you, that they said, definitely let's do it. Let me just, kind of coordinate with the rest of the band and find a date that works best. So I expect this week, next week, some of those to more fall into place. But the ones that we announced all so far already have a date and time kind of scheduled. So that's pretty cool. I'm definitely looking forward to all of them. Like they were all in our highlight show. So again, a promotion for that. Pretty much each one of them was on our highlight show so that you could see some videos, so that you could start checking it out now. Let us know which ones maybe become your next favorite band. And then if you're waiting for the interview, because I know some people even do that, like they want to hear the backstory before they even go check it out. Fine. Let us know afterwards too. This is definitely something that, is what we're all about. We're really excited to kind of go and seek out, find these bands and then bring them to you all to kind of check them out.
Yeah. I think it's super exciting. We've got a lot of stuff coming up. We've got stuff that's even, like you said, on the books. We've got stuff that is sort of penciled in. It is exciting. I can't mention Sir Paul McCartney out loud because he said not to.
I thought it was Sir Elton John. It was a Sir. That's all I remember.
Darn it. We got to get them all straightened out. Hopefully, actually, that would be a great name for a band. What's the name of your band? Some guy named Sir.
Yeah. I thought it was going to be getting them all straightened out. That was a cool name too.
Yeah, it's not. That's the name of the first album.
Yeah. Now you're on to something. And then the shows that we have that are getting lined up. So, this coming weekend, free.
I know
this over the whole weekend. Thursday night, El Hiri.
Next favorite band, favorite.
Correct. Returning favorite. Same thing with.
Wait, I spoke over you. You might want to say her name again, just so everyone heard it. El Hiri is
playing Thursday. Free show, Levitt Pavilion. Friday night, another returning favorite, Dirty Dollhouse. Chelsea Mitchell
interviewed
and her
season
band.
1.
Interviewed in season 1, and she has. I say this all the time. She's like who I would say is my most favorite voice to listen to. Like I think it's just such a beautiful voice.
Her voice is lovely, and the stuff that she does is quite. It's quite. God, I hate to say listenable. That sounds like I'm throwing something away. That's not what I mean. I know what you mean. I'm locking up on. Yeah, like it's real accessible. Yeah, but it's cool not generic. It's not generic.
Mm-hmm.
So
certainly not. So Dirty Dollhouse Friday night, free show, Levitt Pavilion. Saturday, the Doylestown Arts Festival is going on, and it's in Doylestown. It's a shocker.
Doylestown, Pennsylvania.
In Doylestown, Pennsylvania. I wonder how many Doyletowns there are in the world.
I don't know. We're broadcasting from Bethlehem, and it's always worth mentioning Pennsylvania for all of those folk that are like, you guys are in the Middle East?
I don't think I've gotten that one yet, but I guess it's possible.
Neither have I, but I figure we might as well hedge our bets.
I'm pretty sure they know at least the U.S. There's probably some other Bethlehems out there. But okay, Bethlehem, Pennsylvania is us. Doylestown, Pennsylvania, Saturday. Arts Festival is super cool, and they have multiple stages.
Yeah, that's 10th.
And both Pepperwine and Mike Lorenz are playing on free stages there down in Doylestown, Pennsylvania, Saturday, September the 10th, 2022. Just getting super specific now. And then
someone may
Sunday,
listen to this after the fact.
Yes, Sunday, back to Bethlehem, Pennsylvania.
Back to the south side of Bethlehem.
Free show, Catbite, and Slingshot Dakota.
Yeah, it's a doubleheader. That one's going to be a good show.
Super fun. Apparently, both of their bands are led by married couples, and they have the same exact anniversary date. They were both married on the same exact day. And so this is like what they're calling an anniversary
show. Yeah.
Because it's their anniversaries. So I think that was kind of a fun way to approach that.
Yeah, I mean, it's any reason's a good reason, but why not have some fun with it?
Absolutely. So that's this weekend, and that's nothing but free music all 4 days. So that's awesome. The following weekend, Saturday, September 17th, 2022, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Is there any other Philadelphias in the world?
Oh yeah, there's a whole lot of them, as a matter of fact.
Weird.
Yeah.
I thought I know there's anyway. So Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, in case you were.
This is on the 17th.
17th, Carver Commodore.
I'm seeing a different concert that night.
Nice, go for it.
I'm seeing Porcupine Tree down at the Met. Well, they're a great band. It's gonna be their first tour in, I want to say, 14 years. It might be not quite that long, but that number sounds about right.
I hope they practice.
They're probably, considering who they play with outside of the band, they don't really need to very much, considering that Gavin Harrison is one of the drummers in King Crimson.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you got to be an all right musician to do that.
Yeah. Oh, totally. And the Met is
that's
Philly
where
as well.
Yeah, it's the newest, oldest venue in Philadelphia, as it was an old opera house, and then it was a movie theater, and then it was shut down for decades. And then in 18, maybe it was 17, they renovated it and it opened back up. And
and it was renovated by Live Nation, wasn't it? I think it's the guy who.
I think so. I mean, I think it's like a megacorp that did that because of what it cost to do as well.
Correct.
I mean, it was millions of dollars of renovation.
Yep. So cool. So we're both seeing Philly shows on the 17th.
Where is Carver Commodore playing that night?
They are at World Cafe Live.
Oh, okay. So you and I are on opposite ends of the city that
Correct.
night. You will be on the south part, and I will be in the west part.
Right.
We can triangulate.
They were supposed to be Milk Boy, but the second floor of Milk Boy is going through renovations, so they had to actually move a bunch of shows around.
So they're playing, I'm presuming, the top floor of World Cafe Live.
I believe it's the smaller room. Yeah. So I think the other show that we wanted to promote here was also scheduled for Milk Boy. It got moved to Dolphin Tavern. But anyway, the other show, you and I on a Wednesday night.
Correct. This is coming into October. This is
October 12th, 2022, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. It's 2 shows that one performed Musikfest, the other was supposed to and had to cancel due to COVID.
Yeah,
Hotel Fiction,
one of my top picks too.
Yep. Hotel Fiction actually was the one we shared, you and I. And the Beaches is the one that was on our must-see list, and then COVID unfortunately had them cancel their Musikfest performance. So we were like, well, we have to go see them, and pulled up their tour, and they're playing in Philly. Unfortunately on a Wednesday, but we have often had a Bad Life Choices show that we all collectively go to. Want to invite all of you, the listeners, to make a Bad Life choice and join us for that.
On a Wednesday in Philadelphia? Yeah, that'll be a great show.
Absolutely. Hotel Fiction, The Beaches. Can't wait to see that one. Hotel Fiction, like we said, already kind of booked. We're just settling on a date in late September. So there will be an interview for you to watch before you go see that show.
Yep.
And we have reached out to The Beaches as well. So that's not like imminently getting scheduled, but they're kind of on our wish list to kind of schedule as well. So
they're Canadian. We have to work through the government.
That and they're highly apologetic, nice personalities. So
maybe if we filmed it at the Flying V, it might all come together, since we could, coordinate our Canadian synergies.
Correct. Yeah, and Christy Vimazal may actually be joining us for that show.
Correct.
Yeah,
we'll have to see if that happens, but that'll be fun.
Yes, and Gina Masoto. So a lot of people who love live music joining us for these shows. Anybody who wants to join, as you heard, most of them that we've talked about are free. So you just kind of show up. It'll be on our social media. So if you follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, it'll be kind of posted that we're going down to these shows. If you see us, definitely say hi. I don't know if you saw during the live stream, I was showing that we have these, actually I have it right here, these customized. I should have had this out.
Phil is bending over right now for anyone that is listening to the audio of this to reach for what will appear in shot. There we are. He is holding up.
Next favorite band. It's not in focus, but it doesn't matter on a podcast. Customized guitar picks. And then in the back, it's the studio, Stereophilia Studio, and its logo. So if you see us and you want to say hi, definitely say hi. Let us know what bands you've enjoyed that we've introduced. And then if you want a guitar pick, let us know. Happy to kind of share those out. They're pretty cool.
And I'll speak for myself, but I'm sure Phil would agree. We're also open to your idea of what bands we think we should probably talk to.
Always.
Doesn't always mean that we love to see them live and take a little piece of them with us before we would think about bringing them on the show. But it is super exciting to always have suggestions.
Always. Yep. Yeah, we love getting the recommendations of who to go listen to, who to go check out and see. And again, especially if they're performing and you're already going to the show and you're listening in, tell us to kind of check it out and we can join for that. Going to see live music with a group of people is always, just enhances the overall, experience.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Needs to be a shared thing, but that's hopefully again what this can kind of provide is a little bit of a community of people who just love live music of all types, especially the excellent ones.
That's the goal.
That is the goal. So, David, thank you again so much for coming along for the ride all summer long, and as we've kind of figured out the format and the length of the the Q&A and all that kind of stuff, I think we're really catching a groove here, and I just appreciate you kind of sharing your expertise and your love of live music, and hopefully we just keep this train rolling.
Well, that's very nice to say. I think we've both had a lot of fun doing this. I think we should keep having fun doing this.
Always. If it becomes unfun, we're going to stick a fork in it. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that could happen where we suddenly we're like, that's it. We've heard all of the bands.
We've reached the end of music.
So we're like, no, I've got something to do. We're like, nope.
Heard it already.
We already got there. It's like where the sidewalk ends, we're like, well, now what do we do?
Right. Yeah. Hopefully that never happens. But yeah, I'm looking forward to all of these artists. And again, who knows who else we're going to run into or find, or, people who haven't played Musikfest in a while may come out of the woodworks with new music and suddenly we can connect with them. We obviously have.
Go ahead.
Just our wish list of people like, I mean, I think Paul McCartney and Elton John are kind of jokes. But there's other people who we do have wish lists of, like a Low Cut Connie or someone like that, where you just never know. Hopefully, some of those could happen, and I just think that's kind of neat to think about.
Yeah, I mean, I joke about Elton John and Paul McCartney, and if they do come on, we'll ask only about things that have nothing to do with the Beatles and or Elton John's successful solo career, and we'll just focus on when he was a studio musician in the late 60s and talk about commercial jingles that he sang on, and then it'll be like, great, well, I hope you good luck with that singer-songwriter thing. Maybe Disney's got some future for you.
Yeah, maybe. Probably not.
Yeah, probably. I mean, chances are slim
to none. But anyway, thank you again to all of the listeners too. We really appreciate everyone who not only tunes in, but reaches out, says hello, shares comments in the chat. We want to not only, again, bring this stuff to you, but also engage in a way that you find meaningful. So as you're listening, if there's a question you can think of, if there's something you want to, kind of put out there for the band to kind of hear and listen to themselves, definitely do that too. Keep engaging, keep letting us know, what you're thinking, and any feedback you have for us. We'd love to hear it. So,
and so just as a point of recapping part of it, look for regularly scheduled episodes coming out weekly. So that will be more normalized as the schedule more normalizes for what we'll be able to do, because August becomes a blur with the way we interact with music. So that'll be to
that end. We talked a little bit about the social media. Obviously, if you follow on whatever those platforms you like, we do announce when an episode is either forthcoming or released. But also, if you subscribe on whatever your favorite platform is, like YouTube or Twitch, even, we get a lot of followers on Twitch. Those will give you an alert when we're going live. So whether you subscribe or follow, that'll kind of give you some of those heads ups as well. And then you can always subscribe on the podcast platforms.
Yep. I would say for the podcast side as well, we're basically on everywhere that you can push out an MP3 into people's ears. It's out there.
Yeah. And that last point too is I'm learning more and more about how important and valuable ratings are. So if you're so inclined and you like the show, you can give it a 5-star rating and kind of write some feedback in there. Apparently that does go a long way to kind of elevate us as far as making it to other, algorithms and lists and recommendations to other people who, if they like this podcast, they might like that one. So again, you don't have to, force it or whatever, but if you're so inclined, we'd love that as well.
That sounds great.
Yep. We weren't entirely as knuckleheady as I thought we'd be, but we had a lot of info to get out there.
Yeah, well, I think that we actually, we're working from a spreadsheet. That sort of takes the knuckleheadness right out of it, doesn't it?
I apologize, but actually, no, I need these in order to kind of keep everything straight.
No, I'm not. I'm just teasing. But yes, this was more straight ahead than anything else. We've done one practice episode of these, and that one was much more bantery.
Correct. Yeah. So we'll definitely get sillier as time goes on, but hopefully you liked all of the review and preview, and let's kind of close things out, and I'll see you next week.
That sounds like a plan.
All right, Phil, let's say goodbye to everybody.
Thank you to you, the listener, for tuning in all this time. And really hope that you enjoy what you're hearing. Tune in every week and tell your friends. And hopefully we can meet up at a show soon. And thank you to David for coming along for the ride here and sharing your expertise and love of live music. Also, different musicians have allowed us to use their music. You hear in the beginning, Carver Commodore, Argonaut, and Wasp. You see videos that include them, as well as Ryan Tennis and the Accidentals and various other bands that have been on the show, and we really appreciate all of that opportunity. And right here, the close is music from Blair Crimmins and the Hookers. As we talked about, we had that special episode with them. So if you want to check that out, please do. And let's see a live show soon. All over now.